Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to be reading another article on butterflies, and we are going to be looking at completing a RAN chart together, which is another strategy for comprehending nonfiction literature. So RAN chart stands for Reading and Analyzing Nonfiction Text. So we're going to be reading and analyzing our nonfiction text. It's very similar to a KWL chart, if you've ever done that in your class before. So this is just another way to comprehend literature. So I'm very excited to share this strategy with you today. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at the RAN chart. So let me share my screen with you so we can get a closer look at that RAN chart. So this is the RAN chart, and I've already started it for us to use. So again, you did read that Scholastic News article earlier in the week. So because you read that Scholastic News article, I already filled in this first section for us that we can use it together. So the first piece of this chart is what I think I know. So based on the Scholastic News article, I pulled out some sticky notes that I think you should know from reading that Scholastic News article. We are either going to move those sticky notes into yes, I was right, or maybe we were wrong, I wrote the fact wrong by accident, maybe I learned something that was a contrasting fact, maybe this article says something different, so I had to do more research on it. So something you thought wrong is a misconception. So we're going to be moving these post-its into yes, I was right, maybe something that I thought wrong. Then we're going to be reading a new article from Nat Geo Kids, and we're going to be jotting down some new information, so something that you've learned that's different than your background knowledge, what you've read before. And then a part that we can't do together is the wonderings. So that's actually going to be the part that you're going to be doing on your own. After we finish this, you're going to think to yourself, is there anything else that I'm wondering on this topic of butterflies? And then you're going to jot that down for me in the comments. So boys and girls, we are going to start by reviewing the post-its that I have already created for us, doing a little review of that Scholastic News article, and then reading our new article. So let's read what I have written down first. First one up is the pink. They go south and stay in trees all winter. Butterflies migrate, or they travel to, somewhere warmer when it gets cold. This peach one says they fly or they migrate north when it becomes spring up north. So they go south and they migrate south when it becomes colder up here. And then once it becomes spring again, they go north. New butterflies lay eggs and their life cycle continues. Egg goes to larva, that's a fancy word for caterpillar that I learned in that last article, to pupa, fancy word for that is chrysalis, to adult. So I kind of just went over the life cycle. They go through metamorphosis, where they change from caterpillars to butterflies. My last fact that I remembered was caterpillars munch on milkweed plants when they are hatched. All right, so on Wednesday, I think it was, that you read this earlier in the week, you read the Scholastic News articles, Butterflies Are Back. And the quiz page was the life of a monarch butterfly. So I took away a fact from that. I actually wrote out the stages that it said right in that article. And then you also read a little bit about how they migrate, when they go north, when they go south, and then that word migrate. Then over in this section, you read about the caterpillars and how the caterpillars get hungry. They munch on the milkweed plants. They go through metamorphosis, where they change and they go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And you can see this beautiful photograph text feature of this butterfly munching on the milkweed plant. And you also saw this awesome text feature, the map at the bottom, with a map key right over here telling you when they go north and when they go south. So you had a chance to read over this article on Wednesday earlier in the week. And I, again, generated all these facts that you should have gathered from reading that article. So I picked the highlights and I put them over here. Now comes the fun part. We're really going to get into the RAND chart. We've listed what we already know. Now we're going to dive into our new text, and we are going to start filling out our RAND chart. So let's go to the new text. The new text is called The Butterfly Life Cycle, and it's from Nat Geo Kids. So you're going to read along as I read out loud, and I want you to be following along, reading aloud nice and loud, almost like I can hear you through the computer screen. Okay? Read along with me. The butterfly life cycle. See the fascinating transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. Ready for the lowdown on one of nature's most beautiful insects? Then check out our butterfly life cycle facts. So it even tells us in there that it's going to be a facts list. It's going to be an article that sort of lists different facts about the butterfly life cycle. Beautiful image of this butterfly on the flower. We all love butterflies for their beautiful, brightly colored wings. But did you know that these fab flyers begin life as something completely different? I read completely with emphasis because it was written in italics. It was slanty, so it's written in a different way, which makes me as a reader want to say it in a different way. I know the author wanted me to. Completely different. As they grow, they undergo one seriously terrific transformation, a process known as metamorphosis. Everybody say and look at that word with me one more time. Metamorphosis. So that's the changes. Hey, I remember that I wrote down part of my, what I already know was on metamorphosis. So we can actually go, we can change that fact to, yeah, I was right, they undergo metamorphosis. It's this yellow one right here. So I'm gonna take it, my Post-it, and I'm gonna move it to, yep, we were right. We read that before. Okay, stage 1, the egg. It all starts when a female butterfly lays her eggs, usually on leaves or stems of plants. Inside these tiny eggs, caterpillars grow. Depending on the species, the eggs can vary in shape and texture. Interesting. They can be round, oval, or cylindrical, and smooth, bumpy, or wrinkled. Notice that word cylindrical. The C is making the S sound because it's next to that skinny Y, that skinny letter. So cylindrical means circular. So that's very interesting. I didn't read in that other article, and I didn't know in my background knowledge that the eggs can be all different shapes and textures. So shape meaning they're all kind of circular, but the texture, they can be smooth or they can be bumpy or wrinkled. I never really knew that or thought about it in that way. So that's something that's new for me. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go to my RAND chart, and I'm going to fill that in now. Eggs have different shapes and textures. So let's kind of put that into new information. Eggs have different shapes and textures. That's awesome. Didn't really know that. So I can add that to my chart. Very nice. The time it takes for the eggs to hatch can also vary. In some species, they will hatch within a few weeks, and in others, they will only hatch once the weather is warm enough. So that is an interesting fact. The time it takes for the eggs to hatch can vary. Very interesting. I could add that too to my chart, but I'm just going to keep going for now. Stage 2, the caterpillar. And this is the picture of the caterpillar that goes along with the heading. Once ready, the caterpillar leaves its egg home and enters the big outside world. And these little critters have one serious appetite. They actually eat their way out of the egg and immediately start chomping on the leaves of the host plant. That is interesting. They eat their way out of the egg. I think I wrote on one of my facts that I know that caterpillars eat milkweed, but I didn't know that they actually eat their way out of the egg. That is very interesting. So I'm going to go over to my RAND chart, and I am going to find the one where it says the caterpillars munch on milkweed. And instead of just saying, yeah, I was right, I'm actually going to add to it and put it into new information. So here I go. Caterpillars munch on the milkweed plants when they are hatched, and they actually, I'm going to do it the way they wrote it, eat their way out of the egg. Crazy. Very, very nice. Oh, back it up a little bit. And we're going to make this a little bit. Oh, I think the beginning got munch on. Good. Very nice. Very good. More new information. So they actually eat their way to the egg and they immediately start chomping on the leaves of the host plant. During this stage, they shed their skin 4 or 5 times. As the caterpillar grows, its skin becomes too tight and splits open, revealing a new, larger skin underneath. A fully grown caterpillar can be over 100 times larger than when it first emerged from its egg. Wow. Holy cow, boys and girls. A fully grown caterpillar can be over 100 times larger than when it emerged from its egg. That means it started off really tiny because caterpillars really aren't that big. That's crazy to think about. I like that fact so much that I'm actually going to put it in my new facts. Let's put it right over here. We're not a room. We're thinking too much. Never thinking too much. Just right. A fully grown caterpillar can be over 100 times larger than when it first hatched. That's crazy, boys and girls. That's a really fun fact. Wow. Stage 3, the pupa. Once fully grown, the caterpillar forms itself into a pupa or chrysalis. I did write this in my understandings, what I knew in my background knowledge, but I'm not going to move the fact just yet. A kind of vessel in which the caterpillar changes into a butterfly. Vessel meaning, you know, a little spot for it to change, a place for it to change from the caterpillar to the butterfly. So we know that pupa, the chrysalis. They usually do this on twigs or safe hidden areas around the host plant. The pupa stage may last a few weeks to several months, depending on the species. Interesting. So it could take not too long or very long. During this time, a hardened case forms around the pupa to protect it from predators and extreme weather conditions. That's interesting. I don't remember it talking about how hard the shell is, the hard case is. So that's really interesting. I think I'm going to add it to my new facts. So a hardened case forms on the pupa to protect it from predators. So I'm going to say hardened case forms for protection. And I'll know in my head that when I go to explain this to peers or my teacher, that the hardened case, I can say predators and weather conditions. I'll remember that. But I'm going to say a hardened protective case forms. I'm actually going to put it, running out of room, so I'm going to go right here. We'll share a little bit. Let's change this. A hard case forms for protection. Very nice. Great thinking. And inside, the tissue, limbs, and organs of the caterpillar transform. The result? A wonderful winged butterfly. Very nice. Stage 4. This is exciting. I can already tell what this one's going to be by looking at the photographs. The butterfly. Once the butterfly is ready to emerge, the case around the pupa splits open. But it's not time for takeoff just yet, as the wings are at first wet, soft, and wrinkled against its body. So I knew that in my background knowledge. I just didn't write it down in a post-it. So if I wanted to, I can actually just add it. I could add it to something that I already knew and then just confirm it. We'll backtrack a little bit. Wings are wet at first. Let's change that color, make it something jazzy. Okay, and I can move it into here because I actually did know that in my background knowledge. I just forgot to write it down. The butterfly waits for its wings to dry and pumps a liquid called hemolymph into them so that they become big and strong. Interesting. I did not know that that was what the liquid was called. Once fit for flight, this brilliant bug then takes to the air in search for flowers to feed on and for other butterflies to mate with. And that's the cycle complete and ready to start all over again. Oh, so it does talk about it being a cycle, which means it continues, it goes over. We go from egg to butterfly, and then the butterfly lays more eggs. So they do confirm that, yes, it is a life cycle. It's a cycle that keeps going. Very interesting. So I'm actually gonna put hemolymph makes, or hemolymph makes the wings big and strong. So that's something interesting and new. All right, let's change that color. All right. Hemolymph makes the wings big and strong. Interesting. I'm liking all these things that we're learning. Did you know moths also go through this process of metamorphosis? Check out the 4 stages of the Atlas moth below, the largest moth in the world. So they actually do a little comparison, butterflies to moths, in this article. Very cool. So look, it's starting off as the egg. It goes into this, this is actually like the caterpillar, but it's hunched over like this. It's around. It almost looked like the egg at first, but it is the caterpillar. Ooh, they have a very interesting body. And then we go into the chrysalis. Ooh, how pretty. And then finally, the largest moth in the world, the Atlas moth. Very interesting. So they even compare a little bit in this, this article. And this is found on Nat Geo Kids. So my friends, we can write moths go through metamorphosis as well as a new fact. One last new fact. I'm gonna put it up here. I'm running out of room. Moths also go through metamorphosis. Oh, metamorphosis, is that spelled phosis? Metamorphosis. Very nice. Sometimes even teachers need to confirm spellings. Uh-oh. Let's change this color. Let's go green. Why not? Okay, very, very awesome. So we learned a lot of new facts. Look at all these new Post-its. So now let's move around what I think I know a little bit. So they go south and they stay in the trees all winter. This article didn't really talk too much about migration. The other one really stressed more on migration. So I'm going to keep these in what I think I know. Butterflies migrate somewhere warmer. Again, it didn't really talk about migration, so we can keep these ones about migrating and what I think I knew. New butterflies lay eggs and their life cycle continues. It did talk about that in this article, so I'm gonna move that over. And then this is the life cycle: egg to larva, fancy word for caterpillar, pupa, chrysalis, and then adult. That is what I think I knew. So none of my facts were something that I thought wrong, but let's say I had wings were dry at first, and that's what I thought. I would definitely be moving that to something I thought was wrong because their wings are wet at first. So that is how you would fill out this RAN chart. So I hope you enjoy doing some reading and analyzing with me today. Now your job is to read over this chart. It's going to be attached to the lesson. So you're going to read over this chart, and then I want you to comment with some wonderings that you have still in your brain about butterflies. Okay? And maybe if you want to go above and beyond, maybe put some facts that you already knew that I didn't previously write down on my post-its. I hope you enjoy doing some reading and analyzing with me, and I hope you find this chart useful maybe for your nonfiction reading in the future. Happy reading!